Welcome, Christian friends. Pastor Will here from Grace Presbyterian Church. Yes, not Pastor Mike, but Pastor Will, the retired pastor. I want to share with you some words from a familiar hymn. It's called Just a Closer Walk with Thee. It begins with, I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk with thee. And then the refrain, I'm sure you remember this. Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus, is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. Our text for our thoughts today comes from Hebrews chapter 11, the first verse. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Let me share a thought or two with you. Believers in all ages have had trials and temptations. The one thing that is constant is our faith. Faith helps us keep our focus on Jesus, and Jesus will help us overcome the problems of the day. Let me share an illustration with you. Some years ago, my wife Jackie and I would enter 5K races. For those of you that are not initiated in this form of exercise, it's a 3.2 mile run using metrics, which is 5 kilometers. And there are walkers and there are runners. So we used to enjoy that. It was exercise. It was being part of the community where these races took place. At one point, we moved to Iowa. And lo and behold, Jackie thought, well, let's continue this tradition of 5K races. So she signed us up. So on a Saturday morning, we went to the local hospital volunteer fundraiser for the 5K walk. Jackie registered fine, but they couldn't find my name. They looked and they said, oh, go over to this table over here. That was the table for the 5-mile walk. So Jackie had signed up for 3.2 miles. She'd signed me up for 5 miles. I'll be honest with you, I was not in shape for this, but I thought, well, it's Saturday morning. We're here. Let's do the walk. So the starting gun goes off. All the runners go and they disappear and the walkers get going. And I tried to find my walking pace. This went fine up until about 2.5 mile mark when the fog started to roll in. Half a mile later, this one man passes me and he disappears into the fog. Next 2 miles, I do not see or hear anybody. I don't pass anybody. No one passes me. I have to walk next to the curb just so I can see where I am. Well, sometimes life is like a race. Well, let's say a long race, which is longer than what we think it should be. And sometimes, yes, life gets a little confused, doesn't it? The fog rolls in and things get really difficult for us. And over time, as we get older, there are fewer people to help us. But the one thing that I always was aware of, wherever I was, wherever I raced, wherever I lived, there was Jesus. And Jesus was watching over me. Now, how can we as Christian persons go from weak to strong? How can we avoid doing the wrong? Well, the text says it all. Even when we don't see things clearly, Jesus keeps us going. We can overcome the circumstances of our daily life if we keep our focus on Jesus. Oh, and how did I do in that race? Well, 2 miles later, I crossed the finish line, and there was only one person who got there ahead of me, and that's the guy who disappeared into the fog. So I finished second, not my age group, second in the whole race. But the point of this thought today is that we walk by faith, not by sight. You can't quite see the road ahead. Keep your focus on Jesus. And I challenge you to take time in his presence each day, in the quiet of your home, in prayer, reading God's word, in fellowship with other believers. As the hymn says, "Who with me will all my burdens share? None but thee, Lord, none but thee."